I keep thinking about Sidwell and the way he sees people. The man has this strange confidence, like he believes he already understands everyone in the room before they even open their mouths. And that kind of confidence, honestly, is dangerous. Not just for other people, but for himself too. Because sometimes he builds his plans on assumptions that look solid from the outside, but are actually shaky underneath. Take Nina, for example. In Sidwell's mind, it probably seems impossible that Nina could be completely unaware of what Willow has been doing. To him, that idea must sound ridiculous. Nina is Willow's mother after all. Mothers notice things. Mothers sense when their daughters are acting strange. So in Sidwell's thinking, the simplest explanation becomes the truth. Nina must know everything. Nina must be involved somehow. Maybe not directly, maybe not with her hands dirty, but quietly supporting Willow from the shadows. That is probably what Sidwell has been telling himself these past weeks, maybe even longer. He might look at Willow's bold actions and think, no way she came up with all of this alone. Someone older, someone more experienced must be guiding her. And Nina fits perfectly into that role if you look at it the wrong way. She is ambitious. She has never trusted Drew. She has that protective instinct toward Willow that sometimes crosses the line into manipulation. At least that is how Sidwell might interpret it. But here's the problem. Sidwell's conclusion is wrong. Completely wrong. And when a man like Sidwell builds a strategy on a misunderstanding like that, things tend to fall apart in unpredictable ways. Because Nina does not actually know what Willow has been doing. Not the real details, not the ugly parts. The truth is more complicated and maybe a little sad too. Nina has been distant from Willow at times, yes. But that does not mean she stopped caring. It just means Willow became very good at hiding things. Better than anyone expected. So Sidwell walks forward thinking Nina is part of the game. Nina walks into the same situation believing everything is normal. Two completely different realities moving toward the same moment. And that moment is probably going to happen at the castle party. Sidwell loves these dramatic settings. A big gathering, expensive clothes, candlelight everywhere, people smiling while secrets float around the room like invisible smoke. It is exactly the kind of place where powerful people feel comfortable revealing things they should probably keep quiet about. So, of course, he organizes a party at the castle. And, of course, Nina receives an invitation. From Nina's perspective, the invitation makes perfect sense. She is Willow's mother. Willow is about to step into a massive political role, replacing Drew as senator. That is huge! Not just for Willow, but for the whole family. Nina has every reason to feel proud about that. Maybe even a little smug if we are being honest. I can imagine Nina arriving at the castle feeling elegant, confident, maybe slightly emotional too. Her daughter is rising in the world. After everything Willow went through, the hospital drama, the endless family conflicts, this moment probably feels like redemption. But then something shifts. Maybe it starts small. A glance across the room. A quiet conversation that lasts a little too long. Sidwell leaning closer to Willow than necessary. The kind of closeness that suggests familiarity. Nina notices things like that. She always has. At first she might try to ignore it. Tell herself it is nothing. Political alliances often look strange from the outside. Maybe Willow and Sidwell just work together on campaign strategy. Maybe they are discussing policy. But the more Nina watches, the more uncomfortable she becomes. There is something about their body language that does not feel professional. It feels conspiratorial, private, like they share information no one else in the room has. And that is when the questions start forming in Nina's mind. Eventually, Nina approaches Sidwell during the party, perhaps casually, perhaps pretending she is simply making conversation. But there is a sharp edge hidden under her polite smile. She asks him something, maybe about how long he has been working with Willow, maybe about why they seem so close lately. And here's where everything begins to unravel. Sidwell hears the question and interprets it completely wrong. In his mind, Nina is not asking out of curiosity. She is confirming something, testing him, checking whether he will acknowledge the partnership they supposedly share. So Sidwell responds with confidence, the kind of confidence that only exists when someone believes they are speaking to an ally. And he starts revealing things. Not in a dramatic confession probably. More like casual bragging, the way powerful men sometimes brag when they think they are among friends. He might mention the medication first, the fake stroke, the paralyzing drug that created the illusion Drew was suffering a medical emergency. He could laugh lightly while saying it like it was a clever trick. Maybe he even congratulates Willow right there in front of Nina, praising how quickly she executed the plan, saying something like he did not expect her to move so fast, but he admired the efficiency. Sidwell might explain how convincing the stroke looked to everyone else. Doctors, staff, observers. No one suspected a thing. And then, as if that was not shocking enough, he might add another detail, a practical suggestion. He tells Nina she should help with the next step. He suggests that Nina temporarily handle the injections that keep Drew sedated, just until Willow finishes settling into her new role as senator. After all, Willow will be extremely busy with her swearing-in ceremony, meetings, press attention. Sidwell would not want Willow distracted by small details. He probably thinks he is being helpful. Meanwhile, Nina is standing there listening, and slowly the meaning of his words begins to sink in. At first there is confusion, then disbelief, then anger, the kind that rises so fast it almost feels like heat climbing up the spine. Because Nina suddenly realizes what Sidwell is saying. He is accusing her daughter of attempted murder. Not in those exact words maybe, but the implication is clear. Willow drugged Drew. Willow helped stage a fake stroke. Willow is part of something criminal and calculated. And according to Sidwell, Nina helped. Except she did not. Nina explodes. There is really no other word for it. She probably raises her voice right there at the party. Maybe guests turn their heads. Maybe music stops for a second. These things happen when emotions burst out in public. Nina shouts at Sidwell. She tells him he is insane if he thinks Willow would do something like that. She insists her daughter is a good person, kind, compassionate, the same girl who once dedicated her life to helping patients, to healing people. That girl would not poison someone. At least that is what Nina believes. And honestly, in that moment, she is not pretending. She truly cannot imagine Willow crossing that line. What Nina does not realize yet is that Willow has become very good at living two separate lives. The public one everyone sees, and the darker one hidden behind careful decisions and quiet manipulation. So Nina's defense of Willow comes from genuine shock. The room probably becomes awkward. Sidwell confused, Nina furious, guests pretending not to notice the tension. But once Nina calms down slightly, something else begins to happen. Doubt creeps in. Small pieces of memory start resurfacing. Moments when Willow behaved strangely. Conversations that ended too quickly. The way Drew's sudden stroke appeared at exactly the right time politically. Nina begins connecting those fragments. And the more she thinks, the more uncomfortable the picture becomes. At the same time, she also remembers something about Sidwell himself. His reputation. The whispers about his long-term ambitions. His tendency to manipulate people who are useful to him. That thought sends another wave of anger through Nina. Because now she sees a different possibility. Maybe Willow did get involved in something terrible. But maybe Sidwell pushed her into it. Maybe he guided the situation, shaped it, convinced Willow that extreme actions were necessary for some larger goal. Sidwell loves control. That much is obvious. And what better puppet than a newly powerful senator who owes him a secret? Nina's protective instinct reappears, but this time mixed with fear. She does not just see her daughter committing a crime. She sees her daughter trapped inside someone else's game. And that is something Nina cannot accept. So Nina starts thinking about solutions, real solutions, not emotional reactions. One possibility rises above the others, painful but clear. Go to the police. Tell them everything Sidwell just revealed. Accuse both of them. Sidwell for orchestrating the plan, Willow for carrying it out. Sounds brutal. A mother reporting her own daughter for attempted murder. But from Nina's perspective, there is another side to that decision. Prison might destroy Willow's career, yes. It might damage their relationship forever. Still, prison would remove Sidwell's control. Behind bars, Willow could not be used as a political weapon. She could not continue making darker and darker choices under Sidwell's influence. Nina might think a few years in prison followed by eventual pardon or reduced sentence is better than watching Willow sink deeper into corruption. Better a temporary punishment than a lifetime of manipulation. It is a heartbreaking calculation. Willow would almost certainly hate Nina for it, at least at first, maybe for a long time. But Nina might accept that hatred if it means her daughter eventually regains her conscience. And honestly, that kind of decision feels very human to me. Not heroic, not clean, just painfully complicated. Parents sometimes have to choose between protecting their children's freedom and protecting their souls. If Nina believes Sidwell will turn Willow into something cold and ruthless, she might decide the only way to stop it is to burn everything down. Even if that fire reaches her own family. So the police could suddenly receive a shocking report. Nina standing there explaining the fake stroke, the drug, the plan against Drew. Officers moving quickly after hearing the details. And somewhere in the city, Sidwell and Willow being arrested before they even understand how everything collapsed. All because one misunderstanding finally came into the light. Sidwell thought Nina was his ally. He never considered the possibility that she was the one person who would destroy his entire operation once she learned the truth.